Now, what's up, guys? So, I don't know if this is going to be like a Cat Talk episode. I think it's not going to be a Cat Talk episode, probably a Cat Vibes. And I don't know when is this going to drop because there is a lot of other videos in queue. And I'll probably get to this one, I don't know, in May, hopefully, in May 2022. Today is December 1st, 2021. I've had one of the bizarrest dreams that I've ever seen. So I've been to a property that was on a hill, and it wasn't like a haunted old building or something. No, it looked like a corporate kind of modern architecture kind of thing. One of those like ultra-modern kind of things, kind of buildings. It was on a hill, and I was sort of looking at it from afar first. And I was with a couple of friends. There was a girl and there was a guy with me. We were observing this, and the day was overcast, almost like it's now sort of overcast, with sometimes some sun showing up and occasionally just heavy clouds taking over. There was some growth, like some woods somewhere behind the building, and it wasn't just one kind of building. There was like some adjacent stuff there, but there was like a main entrance, and it looked like it was a rather urban building, ridiculously haphazardly placed in an otherwise fairly rural landscape, which is pretty weird in itself. So we get somewhere close there. Next thing I know is that we get somewhere close there with my friends, and I noticed that the front door is open. And the front door, I mean not like a door, but like a door of like a store, you know what I mean? It's like a glass door, powered door, whatever that's called. And it's not closed. We're looking at this building, and it appears that there is no one at all behind the windows. It appears that the building is abandoned. So we dispersed, the three of us. Me and that guy were somewhere on the left side of the building, along the left side of the building, and the girl disappears, and I'm assuming that she went into the building or she's checking out the other side of this building. I don't know. So we're sort of exploring, and it appears that it is indeed abandoned, but something appears to be off. So in my mind, I'm thinking, wow, what if there's a robbery going on? So I'm thinking maybe we should check the building from the inside, and I'm getting inside into that door, and I'm checking the lobby, and the lobby is like an enormous, huge lobby. I don't know, like 50 yards, it appears, something like this. And there's an elevator section somewhere in the center, and on the sides, there's like, I don't know, there's plenty of space, and white floor. It appears that the floor was washed recently, like everything is clean, so it seems that the building hasn't been abandoned recently, but it appears that the building hasn't been abandoned a long time ago, but that it was abandoned just recently, like nobody came in for work or something. And so at some point, I am walking on kind of like alongside the left wall, on the left side. There is this huge long window that goes all along the wall, so I can see what's outside. And as I'm walking, I see that my friend is, he's there somewhere to the left, behind the window. And I see the growth and the trees and some bushes and something like that. And everything is very quiet, very quiet. The landscape is very quiet, and there is no noise at all in the building. And I'm just wondering to myself, like, what is it all about? Looks like it's completely abandoned, but the door was open, so I'm still having my ears peeled because I'm, like, trying to determine if there is something wrong here. And then I decide to turn on the light. So I find a switch, and I turn on the light. And after a while, as I walk along this wall and look behind the window, I'm looking at my friend, all of a sudden I see that he first disappears, and then he sort of reappears, but this time he turned on a lighter. He's burning a lighter, and he's showing me that I have to get out of the building. And there is a sense of urgency, of tremendous urgency, like something is about to happen, or something is coming, or someone is coming, or something went wrong. And he looks sort of disturbed. He looks really disturbed. And it appears from, I sort of don't see his legs because I'm sort of peeping over the window, and he's lower. He's somewhere there on the ground. So I just see the top of his torso and his hands, his arms, and his head. And it appears that he's wounded or something, or he is like, he's limp all of a sudden, like he's heavily falling on one of his legs, on the right foot, I think. And he's trying to show me that I have to get out of here. And I'm like, okay, I probably should. And I turn around from the window. I turn around back looking at the lobby, which is now sort of behind me. And over there, there's the elevator section in the center. I'm looking there and I see that accidentally, perhaps, I thought that I've turned on just the lights on this side of the lobby. Just enough. But it turns out that I've turned on all the lights. So now the whole friggin' building is illuminated. Or so I think. The entire lobby is illuminated. It's illuminated very brightly. So I feel sort of scared. And then I hear that there are voices and footsteps and like of a lot of people. A lot of people. And it's coming from behind the elevator section. You know, so if I'm kind of, if here is the entrance, right? This is where I am, somewhere here. In the center, there is the elevator section. So when you walk in, you have the elevator somewhat in front of you. Maybe like, I don't know, like 20, 30 feet in to the lobby. And there is the right side here. And I don't know what's there because I haven't been there. But as I'm here on the left, and my friend is waving to me from behind the window over here, right? I hear that the voices are coming from here. And I fear that they will see me, that whoever those people are, that crowd that is coming in, they will see me once they feel this part of the lobby and they start walking in here. That's when they will see me. So I'm horrified. And I'm thinking I should, I obviously at this point I can't turn back and run out of the front door because I'll be seen. So I decide to find a staircase because I think that there obviously should be a staircase. If there is an elevator, there should be also a staircase. That's my logic. So I get all the way to the end where there's a corner and I turn to the right and I discover that indeed there is a staircase behind a door. At this point, because I hear those voices and I hear that there's a whole friggin' crowd, I'm thinking, God, well, maybe I should be, what if I'm gonna get killed or I'm getting, in harm's way. So I'm trying to check, ridiculously, for the first time perhaps in my life, I have a gun with me. My 6-shooter. So I pull out my 6-shooter and inconveniently, absolutely inconveniently, as I'm checking the chambers, it turns out that it's not a 6-chamber revolver, but it's a 12-chamber revolver. I've seen a 9-chamber revolver, an 8-chamber revolver, but I don't think I've seen a 12-chamber revolver. The spent cartridges are in the chambers, which is pretty ridiculous because after you use your firearm, apparently you would pop all the spent cartridges, right? But somehow, they're sitting there in the chambers. So at this point, I realize that I have to run upstairs. And the staircase, in stark contrast to the brightly illuminated lobby, the staircase is absolutely dark. So I have no freaking clue how far upward should I run. But at this point, I'm running. So I just charge, close the door behind me, and I run upstairs. At the same time, I'm trying to pop the spent cartridges, and in my mind I'm thinking, well, if I just drop them on the stairs, then people will find it and they will track me down. So I have to, in the dark, as I'm running upstairs, which is so ridiculous, I'm trying to pop the cartridges, and I'm trying to collect them and stash them in my pocket or something. But then, the whole pocket thing and, the way I'm dressed is bizarre because one time I'm looking at myself and I see that I do have a pocket, then I realize that I'm wearing a dress and I don't have pockets, so it sort of changes all the time. It's weird. And then I'm looking for ammo. And at this point, I'm running for quite a while upstairs. It's still dark. It's kind of very murky, almost completely dark, so I can very vaguely see as I'm pulling out the ammo. And I'm finding, again, ridiculously, I would normally keep all the ammo in a box, or I would keep it in one place in one pocket, for example, right? This time, it turns out that all the ammo is stashed all over the place. I find one of the bullets in my sock. God, and I'm so frustrated, and I'm very nervous, and I'm in a hurry because I'm trying to load my gun, because I realize that there is danger. And now one last thing to make things even worse, that I realize something catches my attention on one of the bullets as I'm loading into the chamber. It doesn't fit in. And then as in this, as I'm trying to figure out almost in complete darkness what's wrong with the bullet, so I kind of look at it, I realize that it is rusted. And this is when I realize that perhaps all of my ammo is sort of wasted and I'm defenseless. God, it's not a pleasant feeling at all. So at that point, I realized that all of this time I was running up a staircase like this. So it's a stairwell, and there's a multitude of, the staircase goes upwards like this. But all the time, while I was running upstairs, and I've been running for a long while, there wasn't any doors at all. So it was still the first story, the ground story. I still didn't reach the second story. And now finally, when I realized that all of my ammo is rusted, or at least, whatever ammo I've seen is rusted, and I realized that I won't be able to use my firearm, I'm standing in front of a door. Well, not exactly standing. I sort of bump into a door, and I assume that this is the door to the second story, so I just burst through that door, thinking that it's dark there, because in my mind I'm thinking I should get, off the lobby, I should get off the ground story, I should get up there, where there are no people yet, and then maybe I'll figure out a way how to climb out of the window, jump onto the ground, and run off. Unfortunately, what happens is that as I'm bursting through this door, I find myself in a, again, brilliantly illuminated second story. And there are people. It's crowded. It looks like sort of a cross between, like a shopping center or something like that. Imagine Walmart or something like this. You have these aisles going, right? So I see these aisles, but it's not exactly like a shopping center. It's like, I don't know what the heck is it. It has these aisles, and as I'm looking around, I see the people are slowly strolling around, and at first glance I don't notice anything bizarre. It looks like, and so there are tables somewhere, and stacks of this and that, and blah blah blah. It looks like a store. And I sort of turn to the right, there's like a passage over there. I move there, I go there, and I see that there is a row of long aisles. In one aisle, there is, something that appears to be like, I don't know, something like cosmetics perhaps. I don't know, something shiny and glittery. Then the next one, there are sewing machines. And they're not like old-fashioned sewing machines. No, those are like modern sewing machines. Okay. And there's like a row of them. And they're of this, grayish-green color. Grayish-green color. Somehow I know that they're sewing machines, I don't know. And then literally in the next aisle, I see what appears to be like, long rows of bags with like spices. And there is a dude that I cannot distinguish is he like Indian or something, because he's wearing a turban. And he has some markings on his forehead, and I'm thinking, is he from India or is he from the Middle East? I don't know. Is he like Arabic or no? But he has these bags, and they're like, occupies the entire freaking aisle, on the floor and the shelves. There's just a multitude of these bags, and full of something that looks like, powder. It looks like curry, looks like red pepper, looks like black ground pepper and whole pepper grains, something like that. Looks like some grain or something. I don't know. But at first glance, it appears like this. So this is to the right from me. And then there is this passage, and there is another elevator. And there's like a carpet that goes all the way to the elevator, and then there's a turn over there, and there is something else. And, people are casually walking. Then I realized that people are actually not just casual people, from the street, but everybody is sort of dressed up. And I started to pay attention, because at this point I realized that I should not run. Because if I keep running, I will look weird. And people will assume that I'm not from around here. So I should act like everybody around me. At this point I don't know how am I dressed, because quite often in my dreams that's an issue and I'm not dressed at all. Or in some of my dreams, or rather in the majority of my dreams, I have like some sort of white dress or like white cloth over me, which, passes as a dress or whatever. And I can remember where's my firearm. It's just not there anymore. So I'm trying to act normal. I'm trying to act as if I'm part of this crowd and I'm just casually strolling or whatever. And I stopped and I'm looking over there to the right. There is that elevator. And there's a girl who is, well-dressed, dressed up, with her hair made. And she stands there. In one hand, she holds a glass of wine, I'm guessing, because in the other hand, she's holding a bottle, which looks like a champagne bottle or like a wine bottle, which says Trump on it. And I'm like, oh, so that's probably wine. So, and that's when I noticed that something is wrong. I realized that this girl has, instead of 5 fingers, she has 6 fingers. I'm looking at her and she's like in the, in the distance, like 20, 30 feet away. I'm looking very carefully, and she has 6 fingers. There is a man standing next to her, and he's like 3/4 with his back turned to me. He's talking to someone. And he's wearing a suit and trousers, and you can tell that he's, again, dressed up for a formal situation. I notice that something in his trouser is moving. And then, as my eyes go down all the way down to the back of his shoe, I notice that there is more motion, and then I notice that there is a tip of a tail getting out of his trouser, and that it's moving. And I realize that this is a man with a tail. It gets weird, because as I dive into the details of what surrounds me, it gets creepier and weirder. Then I sort of look to the right, I'm standing facing the elevator. I look to the right where I have just seen those spices, or whatever that what appeared to be spices. And there's that man with a strange kind of blank face that sits there and he just looks into the distance. He doesn't do anything. I look carefully at those bags of spices, and as, like it is, I sort of don't walk there, but I sort of zoom in and see closer. They're like little sticks, I don't know, whatever you call it, like little sticks with pieces of cardboard that are poked into those bags. And I'm assuming it should say what's in those bags. But instead of seeing what I expect to see there, like red pepper, or, I don't know, cayenne pepper, or curry, or something like that, rice, whatever. Instead of that, I see something absolutely different. Well, first of all, these cardboard little tablets, they look like someone just went to some designer's website, got some free designs, one of those Pinterest saved, ready-to-go designs, and just printed them out like that. There is some golden printing, and then I start to read what it says, and it says, snake's call, something, snake's call. And then it clicks in my mind that the powder that I see is kind of dark brown, grayish, that those are ground skulls of snakes. Then I look at the next thing, and I realize that those are not peanuts, that those are dried eyes. Then I look at the next bag, and I realize that that is some other nefarious, creepy ingredient. And then it also clicks in my mind that all of these things, they don't come from places like what I thought, like Middle East or whatever, from India. No, it comes from like Black Africa and New Guinea, the Amazonian rainforest, etc., etc. Weird ingredients, like dried spider legs or something like that, like really creepy stuff. But you gotta keep in mind that everything is so vivid and so real that you feel the smell of things, and you're like, yeah, that's a weird smell, really, because it smells like spices, but some strange spices that you have never smelled before. Strange smells. And when I started to realize that those are not the normal spices that I've expected, that's when I started to realize that something is going on here, because there is that girl with 6 fingers, there is that man with a tail. And then as I look around, I find other peculiarities about the quote-unquote people who surround me. And at that point I realized that they're not people. And that I'm the only one freak here who has 5 fingers, who is normal, more or less. That I'm human, but they're not. Then I look back at the elevator and I see that the door's open, and there is a strange, the person appears to be a lady of sorts, or like a woman, and she is roughly 2 times taller than your, like than your average human. Actually, she appears as if she's like 12 foot tall, maybe 14, 15 foot tall, I don't know, very tall. She's dressed in black. She's wearing some sort of fur coat or something with she has black hair, and she looks like a very weird crossover between Ghislaine Maxwell and, gosh, who's the other one? Morticia from the Addams Family. A very weird combo. Black hair, jet black hair, black eyes, strange face, which changes all the time. I'm trying to identify who is that, and I see that the face is changing all the time. And there is this vibe of authority that emanates from this creature, should I say, or person. I don't know who is that. So the girl who stands there and drinks wine out of the glass with a bottle of Trump wine, in the other hand, she sort of, the elevator opens and she kind of turns a little bit, and she like nods and smiles and whatever, sort of greets this madam that walks in. Then the guy with the tail, who was 3/4, with his back to me, he sort of pays attention and kind of nods and blah blah blah. So people are paying attention and sort of turning around and listening, or kind of attending to this lady, to this madam. I don't know who that is. And she walks out of the elevator. She looks in my direction, and I don't know if she's looking at me, but I don't like that stare. And then she looks at me and she turns her head back. So she's looking to the left of herself, if there is any more people down that corridor that winds further behind the elevator. And as she turns her head, I see that she has another face on the back of her head. God. That's creepy. So, at some point, I kind of realized that she's in a position of authority here. And I'm assuming that it's a she, but it's difficult to tell who is this, or what is this. Because I first thought that it's a woman, or it appeared to be a female of sorts, of enormous proportion. Then I'm not so sure. Then I'm not so sure that it's human. It's something absolutely different. So at this point I realize, I'm terrified. At this point I realize that there is no way that I can quietly get out of here, because probably they won't let me out. I'm not supposed to be here, and the creatures, should I say, that surround me, they know that I'm different, that I'm from the outside. So I'm thinking, how can I possibly get back to reality, to what I know as reality? So then, in a very weird kind of way, I seduce this huge creature, which is like 12, 15 foot tall. It appears that it's not a woman. It appears that it's some male creature disguised as a woman. And I have to seduce this creature because this creature is in a position of authority. So I'm hoping that I will find my way out through that, because that's the only option at this point. I understand that if I do something wrong, or I turn somewhere, or go somewhere else, I might just get killed. And I don't have a weapon with me, and my only weapon is seduction at this point. So I seduce that creature. Then there is something weird, because at that point I realize that what's going on here is that these creatures are converted from regular humans. They haven't been always this way. It's almost like this whole place is some sort of factory to turn souls, normal souls, human souls, into ghosts. So, and it's kind of like a ghost prison, only that it doesn't appear like a prison at all. And you have to play by the rules, or you will get evaporated, basically. And I'm not supposed to be here because I wasn't dragged in here. I wasn't one of the invited guests to this party. I'm an outsider, and I will just get evaporated, killed, wiped out completely if they discover who I am. So I'm playing this game. Then another thing that I realized is that there is a special tier of souls, now ghosts, who, if they behave in a certain way, they become part of the quote-unquote team. So they become like a special force, you could say. And these souls, they live in the attic. And it appears that after I seduce this creature, I am... Oh, there is a bird. There's a little bird, a little sparrow. This creature, who is the authority here, determines that I'm fit to become part of that special force. So I know that I've sort of passed the test. So now I'm sent to the attic. And the thing about these souls that become part of this evil force, and mind you, I realized very quickly that the entities that I'm dealing with are very evil, very malevolent, very weird things, and I don't know what are they. Those sewing machines down that other aisle, I learned that those sewing machines are for human skin. They're not for, like, cloths and fabrics. No, that's for human skin. And I don't know what are they doing with that? I don't know. But it's terrifying. It's like there is a sense of horrible darkness that sort of permeates everything. Something very evil going down. And to me, surviving all of this is just a matter of survival. I have to do what I have to do. So I'm evaluated to become part of this special team of souls that live in the attic. So I'm in the attic. And as I get there, it's there's wooden floor. I can see the roof going up like this, which is weird because from the outside I've never seen that any of the roofs of this building on this property are like this, because all of them were like this. They were flat. So all of a sudden there is this, and it's wooden. It's all made of wood. The floor in the attic is wooden, and the bulks, are wooden. Everything is, what they call the beams. The beams are wooden. Everything is wooden. And it's fairly dark. It's almost completely dark there. And I can see these other souls. Other persons, I don't know who they are. And they're sort of sitting in like a circle of sorts. I am lurking somewhere in the shadows, and I'm sitting there. And then I see that they get up and they do things. Like there is this one person, I don't know, male or female, that gets up and starts dancing. And that person dances with their intestines hanging out. It's a horrifying and a gruesome thing to watch. In some sort of mystical dance, or I don't know, something. Almost a belly dance with intestines hanging out. It's really, really blood-chilling. And the assumption here is that we're supposed to come up with some plan. Because it's like this special team of us, we're supposed to capture human souls. We need more of them. And where do these souls go? And what is done to these souls after these humans that are captured, their souls when they're being captured, when they're being dragged in here to this party and being converted to some sort of monsters that have 6 fingers and a tail and whatever. I don't know. I don't know what's done to these souls, but apparently these entities that are taller, that are very tall, with changing faces and strange spinning heads, with 2 faces in fact, these entities, they run the place, and they need those human souls for some reason, and I don't know why. So I'm sitting and watching this bizarrity going down here in the attic, and I know that it's about time that I have to leave, because if I don't leave right now, it's going to be really bad. I'm going to be lost, and I can't be lost. I have to find my way out. Another thing that dawns on me while I'm sitting in the attic and watching all of these strange souls, this dream team, is that the staircase that I was running up, that staircase, has a strange property. It's not just any staircase. It's a staircase that erodes you. It corrodes you, literally. So you start at the bottom of the staircase. I was flesh and bones. But then when I entered that door and I started running upwards to the next story, what happened is that it wiped out my flesh and bones. So I'm devoid of a body. I don't have a body. And some of that darkness got into my soul. And that's what allowed me, ultimately, to find that darkness in myself and to go with something as audacious as seducing one of those evil creatures. I had to find that darkness within me, that seductive, sultry, weird, dark thing within myself to seduce that entity so that now I can be in this attic. You see how it works? Very weird. I'm also thinking, at that point in the attic, as I'm sitting, I'm thinking, well, that would explain also why my ammo for my gun got corroded. Because it's not just a simple staircase, that's a staircase with very weird properties. It corrodes things, it erodes things. It disembodies people. That's what it does. That's why it's a dark staircase, actually. So I'm sitting in that attic and I'm trying to make eye contact with those other things there. If you have ever watched anybody who is really evil in the eye, you will approximate what I've seen. You don't see human there at all. It's terrifying, it's blood-curdling, it's nasty, it's cold. You're trying to maintain that eye contact and you're afraid that they will read that I'm not one of them really, that I'm pretending. I didn't want to be discovered. I wanted to sort of fly under the radar, so I was playing this game. I was gazing them in the eyes and I was trying to not flinch, which was very difficult. Because inside I was horrified, absolutely. And at the same time, I was trying to find a good idea, how am I to escape from here? So then there is this man sitting to the right, in the other corner of the attic. I'm looking at him, I'm looking into his eyes. I'm looking for any signs for anything. And I see, it's not that he winked at me, but he kind of made a little motion with his eye. So I've noticed, I read that as a little bit of hope. That's a little sign. So then I'm taking a leap of faith, an absolutely crazy leap of faith. And I'm trying to convey to this man, without saying a word, while this other person is dancing right here in the center. For whatever ritualistic reason. I'm trying to convey to this man the urgency of the moment that I need to get out. And then a very strange thing happens. So this man stands up and he walks up right to me, and as he walks I notice that there is like a little amber, like the kind of glowing amber that you find at the bottom of the fire pit when you burn it really hot, and then it cools off for like maybe an hour and a half, and you see that amber, a glowing hot amber. He has an amber inside his ribcage. I can see it sort of emanating some light from underneath his ribs, through his skin. And I know that I have to take action, so what I do is I immediately stand up. I take my hand like this, with my fingers like this. I stab him with my hand through his belly, and I rip all the way up to that amber that is sitting inside of his chest. So I rip through his intestines, I rip through his stomach. I let all of that slid off my arm. I reach out to that amber, and I rip it out of him. And I throw it immediately, this glowing amber, I throw it on the floor. And the floor is covered with like a rug or something, and the rug is like made of weeds, like really dry weeds. And I start blowing on this amber, like really hard. I'm blowing at it to get fire. And then I see that the fire finally starts to show up. The flames start to show up, the rug starts to burn. And then it takes off. And then the fire becomes larger. And I look back at this man, and he stands there, and it looks like he's smiling, so I do know that I've done the right thing. That's exactly what he intended. He wanted me to rip through and grasp that amber and rip it out of him. And he's bleeding profusely, but I can see that he's smiling. And I'm thankful. So I look down at these flames, the flames are spreading, and then my hand is burnt. My skin is burned. However, I grab that amber again and I throw it into the other end, into the other corner of this attic. And the flames rise there. And then I see that this dream team, these other creatures around, that they try to take out the fire, and that's when I know that they're afraid of fire. They're afraid of being exposed, in other words, is that fire is real, and it's danger to them. They hate it, they don't like fire, but fire is real. And I pause for a little bit as I back off, like this, not looking what's behind me, into the shadows, hoping that I will just lean into the wall and that there is a window. And I'm hoping that I've set the fire well enough so that it will burn down the whole damn thing, because at this point the wall is all in flames. It's really, the heat is, taking off. The floor is blazing, and these souls are trying to take out the fire, but they can't. It's blazing and blazing, and there's more and more. A wall of fire is coming out. And then I quickly turn my head to the right, and I see that there is a window. So what I do is, without looking what's behind that window, I jump backwards, sort of backwards like this, and with my shoulder and the weight of my body, I crash that window and I start to fall. I realize that I'm falling outside of the building, and I'm not in time to realize where am I falling. I try to look, where am I falling, but my hair are in front of my eyes like this, because I jump like this, and I'm going down in a twisting motion, which is stupid, because at the very last moment, when I'm like, I don't know for how long am I gonna fall, I remember, kind of in a split second, I remember that it's not recommended, or rather, what are the recommendations to when you're jumping from somewhere, falling out from somewhere, that you have to land on your legs and on your hands to make it softer, you know what I mean? And I realized in the last split second, that I didn't take any of those precautions, that I've jumped wrong, that I was going down in a spiraling motion, and my hair in my eyes, and I cannot see jack squat. And in that last moment, just when I thought that I'm gonna be falling for much longer, I all of a sudden hit with my face, and with my face, with my shoulder, and with my hip, and with my leg, with the side of my right leg, I smashed like this in a rotating motion into the soil, and the soil is soft and warm. So I'm thinking I'm very fortunate. But I was hoping that I wouldn't break my neck, because again, that was the last thought that I had, that if I go down in a spinning motion, that I can break my neck if I just, flip like this. So I didn't. For a moment I don't realize what's going on. So then I realize that I'm still alive, which is a very good thing. And I look kind of back upwards. I tilt my head out of the soil, which is right here. I sort of look back upwards and I see that there is fire, which feels good, because I was worried that they would take out the fire, and I wanted to burn the whole damn thing down. So at this point, I look upward there, then I sort of look with one eye over the edge of the soil and see that it's there is some growth, like undergrowth, and then there's some bushes, and there are a couple of tall old trees growing. And from between the trees, there's my friend, this guy. He shows up again. And he's showing me that we have to run. Real quick. There's some birds to the left there. So he takes out all those bushes, kind of runs down here, shows me, there, and runs. And as I'm raising my head out of this pile of soil that was there, as I'm raising my head, I see there's a pathway, and it has some staircases, kind of, I don't know, stones, like stairs that were sort of submerged in the soil, because it's probably an old pathway. And I see, just like now, you see fallen leaves and stuff, sometimes, and it's a long, long, long pathway. It goes from behind the building where I am, goes along the building. Then there is, it goes downhill like this, and there are actual staircases with a simple railing, metal railing or whatever. Then it goes down even further, and then in the distance it turns to the right, and there's a parking lot and something. I can see that there is a city somewhere, something like this. So I get up and I start running. I run really fast. I run so fast that at some point my legs don't touch the ground. So instead of running like this, I find myself running like this. I'm sort of swimming above the earth. So, and I'm helping to stabilize myself with my hands. And I'm moving very fast, very fast. It's almost like swimming. I'm not a swimmer, but it's almost like swimming. So my legs go in this motion behind me. And I'm above the ground, maybe, I don't know, 4 feet above the ground, basically. And I know that I'm moving very quickly because the speed of my body and the wind that it creates, the brushes off leaves when I'm slightly turning, so I'm going like a little flying kind of thing, I don't know. I'm trying to catch up with my friend, and I know that he ran, he's well ahead of me. So I'm moving very quickly, and then at some point I got sort of carried away with the kind of speed and how cool it is to fly above the earth. And I'm thinking to myself that I've discovered a new way to move, a very, very fast way to move. And then when I raise my eyes, I noticed that there is a gate. There is a wall, and there is a gate. And it's one of those powered gates. It's like white cement, white brick, whatever, with video cameras, with some power lines running over the gate, with a little what do you call it, like a guard room or something to the left, and there is a guard sitting there. I don't know if he's a cop or he's a guard. He's sitting there. And then to the right, there is a larger kind of guard room, and there's a door. So I'm guessing that's for people who walk in and walk off of this property, or whatever that thing is. So I walk in there, knowing that I have to get behind this wall. I have to get behind this gate. I have to get out of here. This is the last thing that I have to get through. I get in there, and there's like one of those spinning things, through which you have to come through, whatever it's called. I don't know, spin something. I don't know what's the word for it. So I get through it. There's a desk. There is another guard sitting behind the desk, and he has like monitors and computers and whatever. And there's like a narrow passage and a door over there that leads to the outside, and a window over there. And it's like everything is very cluttered, very tight. So I walk in, I get through this spinning thing, and there is a man standing right behind this spinning thing, so I sort of have to push myself through it because he's so large and fat. And, it wouldn't go through him. And he's standing, he's talking over the desk to this guard. And from their conversation, I realize the guard is telling him that they have to scan everybody who comes out, because something happened in the building on the hill. And I know that that building on the hill is where I just came from. So all of a sudden I know that the guard that is sitting here, he's not on my side, he's not my friend. He's working for whoever is running this whole operation, whoever is running this whole thing. He probably knows what's going down there. What looks like an abandoned building is not an abandoned building at all. Because they're scanning people, right? So, and I also realized that perhaps this fat guy who's here, he's like some maintenance guy or whatever. Maybe he like repairs walls or the boiler or I don't know, whatever. And he might be even not aware of what really goes on here. However, he needs to be scanned. So this guard, he scans him. And he makes sure that he's just flesh and bones and, human. He's okay. And now I realize that it's going to be my turn next. And as I'm desperately thinking, what am I supposed to do about it, because I don't want to be scanned, I sort of turn my head to the right and notice that my friend, who ran ahead of me out of here, the friend with the lighter from the very beginning, that he was hiding behind the door, and he sort of squeezed himself in like this, and now he's right here behind my shoulder. And all of a sudden he tells me, "Let's go." So he leaps onto this spinning thing, leaps onto the desk. Off of the desk, he leaps on the narrow windowsill by the window, and he smashes that window out, and he says, "Let's go." So I follow him. I jump onto this spinning wheel, onto the desk, onto the windowsill, and my friend, he just, falls over and rolls out of the window, and I just follow him in approximately in that same motion without even thinking too much. And as I, right before I do so, I turn around and I see that officer, or whoever he is, officer or guard or whoever, he tries to climb out from behind his desk. He's getting onto his desk. He's trying to sort of get his body over it. So I know that they're going to pursue me. So my friend, he rolled out there, and I rolled out there, and I sort of get up and I look around, and I realize that this is like a large street, like in large cities. So there's like plenty of traffic, and there is a sidewalk, and I'm on the sidewalk, and there are people walking, and it's a long street that goes there. There's plenty of buildings, etc., very busy stuff, and there's like a boulevard somewhere there. And my friend, he immediately got to his feet, and he just dashes away. He runs, and I get up to my feet, and without looking at that window from which I fell out, I just, take off and I run. And my friend runs faster than me, so I lose him. I see that somewhere in the distance there's a building, and there's like a fire staircase, whatever, in the back of that building, a red brick building. He runs up to that staircase, he runs up, and I know that he's probably doing that, to sort of stop and lay low and wait for the pursuit to run over so that he can, quietly escape. So I'm thinking, okay, I'll just keep running. So I run past that building and I keep running and I keep running and I keep running, and there's like, regular stuff. All of a sudden it feels like it's all real, right? Because there are like, people with umbrellas, some like, vehicles are driving over here. There's a boulevard that starts over there. It sort of looks like a crossbreed between New York and Moscow, and I don't know, something like that. It's like very weird. And they're like regular stores and boutiques and whatever, I can see the lights in there, the people shopping, like a McDonald's to the right from me. And I'm just running and running and running and running and running like crazy. And then at some point I see that there's an intersection, that there's a boulevard crossing this main street. And I just, turn around the corner and I just lean back at the building to catch my breath. And that's when I wake up. That's when I wake up. This is the dream that I had today, on December 1st, 2021. I don't know why am I telling this story, but it's such a weird story. Extremely weird. I thought that I would tell it because sometimes I see things and I don't exactly know what to make of it. But there were strange entities and very strange things, and the implications of this dream were very strange. Very strange. Souls, ghosts. The thing is that it's not that they were catching ghosts that are already ghosts and packing them in that, conversion mansion or whatever that is. No. They were converting human souls. And they were dragging people, I'm guessing, their souls. They were taking their souls, capturing them, somehow stealing them, and then converting those souls into ghosts. And then some of those ghosts they were twisting into that special team of creatures. So it's pretty amazing. And I guess this is where I'm going to be wrapping up this story, because I'm sitting here for a while. I'd like to have some coffee, and it's not exactly very warm, even though I'm wearing a sweater. And I'm guessing this is going to be probably a Cat Vibes episode. I have a very strange feeling of being alive. When I woke up, I touched my fingers and I touched the bones underneath my skin, and I had a very weird feeling of, gosh, it's so good to be alive. It's so good to be alive. At home in my body. You know what I mean? If you know what I mean. I guess this is where I'm going to be wrapping this up. Before I go, I want to show you some of this landscape that we have here. So you see, all the leaves are gone at this point. There's little things. And the birds are over there. There are the birds. Oh, lots of them. And there are the nests. You see? And the trees. I think I'll just walk around the house. All those leaves are down at this point. I was recording a Cat Talk episode today, and I just thought that since I had such an exceptional dream, I'll just tell you that dream. But I don't think that it's like a Cat Talk episode. I think it deserves to be like a Cat Vibes or something. See how beautiful it is. That's my favorite photo. Look at this. See. Had to take a selfie. The sun is setting, so I'll be moving in. My cheeks are getting cold, my hands are getting cold. I'll just walk around a little bit around the house and then start bringing everything in. Today's a strange day. It's a really strange day. Gosh, it's so weird to feel alive. It's so weird to feel alive and back in my flesh and in my bones. I don't really know where have I been. don't really know what have I experienced, but it feels that there's some tremendous, like a life lesson that I've learned or something. Very weird. I've avoided some great evil. That's, I think, what happened. And in order to avoid that evil, I had to play with evil. It's so weird. The woods. There's little Dennis. I should probably come up with something to carry the camera more efficiently, because I'm just carrying it in my arm and it's not very comfortable, quite frankly. Just walking around the house and showing you what's up. And there's Dennis. There he is. Guess all of my cat vibes videos recently are just playing guitar, guitar, guitar. There's the birdhouse. Playing guitar, 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 and I thought that it would be more interesting to film something like this. The sun is setting. Anyways, with that being said, time to wrap it all up. And, see you next time. Hope I'll survive the next dream.